little bit of commentary before I introduce you. So to the people who are new here, basically, let me share a little bit about myself. My name is Ritika Kochar. I'm an art writer, I'm an author, I'm a sustainability advocate. And I'm based in New Delhi, hence the name Dilli Ki Diva. My passion lies in exploring art, culture, history, myth, and environment. And so I write for The Hindu, I write for The Open, I write for The India Today, all of them on art and culture. And I also write books. So, I mean, Weapons of Kalki, Ghosts of Landor, Wild Things, and essentially you'll always find a certain amount of sustainability, a certain amount of feminism, a certain amount of Shakta coming out in my books, even if I don't want it to come. It's just there. Now, what is Art Radio? Art Radio is a bringing together of all these, which is why Lakshmi is here. And it's an immersive experience. It's the stroke of a brush, it's creativity, it's vibrant stories, it's actually a gallery of all these amazing people and amazing books and amazing artworks that I've been able to see. And I'm glad so many of you are here. And that's just, I think that's Shakti bringing so many of you to us. So I'm just going to start from this point. Thank you all for joining us. And now to Lakshmi. Lakshmi is a graphic designer. She's a poet. She's an artist with those amazing pictures you're seeing behind me, and some of that amazing poetry you're reading as well. Because when I started looking at her Instagram page, there was just this amazing poetry. I mean, she's talking about Kundalini. She's talking about yantras, all of it. And yes, blessed. Blessed was the word that came to my mind as well. And Lakshmi has offered to teach us how to make a Sri Yantra today, which is amazing because normally people do not talk about the experience of their work. As somebody once, as a big artist once said, "Mano to Shiv, na mano to Patthar." And so to talk about that is a huge thing. I'm feeling really blessed. I think that's why I started Art Radio. Frankly, Lakshmi, you don't know this, but all through since you agreed to come on, that was my thought. Yes, this is what I started Art Radio for. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for what you're leading us through.
So nice. Thank you so much, Ritika, for this sweet, sweet introduction that you've given me. Thank you so much. And I see a lot of people joining us also, which is amazing. Wow.
Literally a lot. I mean, and all our friends as well from our course.
Yeah.
I saw a number of names coming up. So, I mean, obviously people... Okay. So tell me a little bit about this, Lakshmi. I mean, how did you come to the Sri Yantra? What is the Sri Yantra?
Okay. So before we start talking about the Sri Yantra itself, just to give you a little introduction about what Yantra is to begin with. You would have heard the words Tantra, Mantra, and Yantra. Okay, so what exactly is it? Now, science explains to you how every sound has a form attached to it. You have the field of cymatics where you're seeing a certain frequency of sound coming in, and those are creating unique patterns, right? So correspondingly, every form has a sound attached to it, okay? Now, what connects these two things is what Yantra is, what Tantra is. So Tantra is nothing but the science that connects these two aspects, okay? So these three together then is used in, a ritualistic worship, maybe, especially related to Shakti. So now what we're looking at today is the Sri Yantra, which is considered the ultimate of the yantras, okay? So this is like the topmost, and it's like on the top. And this corresponds to, it's like a visual representation of the divine goddess herself, okay? And here the divine goddess is nobody but Mahä Tripurasundari, okay? So it's like a visual it's like superimposing her form in a sacred geometry. Now the Sri Yantra or any yantras are basically made of three components. You have your square, you have circle, and you have triangles. Now these come in varying sequences. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to draw the Sri Yantra, of course. But before I do that, I need to tell you that this is a very complex geometry involved in drawing it. Okay, it's super complex. So there is a way to go about it where, and there are various techniques and approaches. I mean, different schools of Sri Vidya Upasana approach it in a different way, and they have different styles how to construct it and what goes into it. So there's very precise calculations involved. A lot of you know, it's not just it doesn't come just like that. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do a freehand drawing. We're not going to get into complex calculations or any complexities of that sort. It's just an introduction to Sri Yantra, and it's going to be fairly easier, but you need to approach it with that kind of a devotion. Okay.
Two questions.
Yes, please go ahead.
One is what are you supposed to be feeling while making this? I mean, is there a special way you're supposed to approach it? And secondly, how do you know when it's complete?
Okay, so I will tell you when it's complete. But when you're approaching it, so ideally the best way to do is very silently, with a lot of focus and no distractions around you, and that's the ideal way to do it. But today I'll be talking because obviously I need to guide you guys. But if I'm sitting to do it, I'm usually I'm approaching it as sadhana, and with a lot of devotion in my heart. That's how I approach it. So when you do it on your own later, once you get the steps right, then you can do it the same way. Okay, so today I'm sure there'll be a lot of confusion and okay, what is this triangle, what is this, how do you connect it? But I'm going to go as slow as possible. I know we have about 20-25 minutes, and we'll see how to do this. Okay, so if you have your papers, pencils, everything ready, I think we can get started.
Already?
Tell
me one thing. There are a lot of people who are trying to join this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not unmuting them right now. Okay. Is it okay if we unmute them once we finished working on the Sri Yantra?
I think we can. If we have time, we don't want to go into long. I think it's already 9:40 now, right? So we don't want to take too much time. If they have questions, probably they can just type it down or something. And,
I'll be keeping an eye out on that as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm going to switch my camera around so you can see my screen, okay?
Okay. I can see something now. I love paintings, man.
Okay. There you go. So the circle fits in right into the screen, right?
Right. Perfect. Just a little to the left, please. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So, can you hear me clear?
Very clear.
Well? All right. So we're going to start with drawing a circle first. Okay. So if you don't have a compass, that's absolutely okay. You can just take the lid of something and then just place it and then trace around it. Okay. So if you have a compass, that's good because you can get the center. So ideally, you need to get the center of the circle. That's going to be somewhere here. So you draw this. I'll give you guys a few seconds, and you can mark the center. So Ritika, you're going to be the guide for everyone else also. So each time you say, okay, yes, go ahead, I'm going to approximate that for everyone.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So if you mark the center, let's give a name for this. Let's give it as 0. Okay, and now imagine a straight line, a diameter going through this center. Okay, so let's just name, just for our reference, we're going to name the top as A and the bottom as B. No need to draw any kind of line between it, but just to give you an idea, okay, where is A and B? All right. Yes. Now, can you see this portion between 0 and B? Okay, this radius portion, we're going to divide that further into half. So it's going to be somewhere here. This is just approximate. I mean, you can use a ruler if you want to measure the center of these 2 points. But even if it isn't, that's completely okay. So I'm going to name this point as 1. Okay. Similarly, the top radius. So this is between 0 and A. We're again going to mark the center. And this is going to be 2.
Okay.
Okay. Now, between 1 and B, we're going to again mark the center for it. So this portion is going to be equal to this portion. Let's give this the number 3.
Okay.
And the one on top between A and 2, let's give this 4. Now, between 0 and 1, again, there is a center. This is going to be 5.
6.
The 6th one is now going to be the center. So this is the trick here. It's going to be a little above the center. So this is the center. A little above it would be somewhere here.
Oh,
Yeah.
We all get very quickly. We get.
I know. Yeah. And the funny part is this is the most important. So we're going to be starting here. So everything is going to base on this 6th point. So it's important that it's not really at the center.
Then you'll have to give me 2 minutes. I'm going to redraw my entire circle.
Oh, okay. Are you using a pencil to draw? Then it's easier. If you're using a pencil, it's much easier to erase.
I can pick up a pencil also. Hold on.
So just for everyone else's, let's do this again. Okay, because if you get this right, half your work is done.
Sorry,
so while Ritika redraws, yeah. So you have your center, which is marked as 0. You have the top part as A, the bottom part as B. You're going to divide 0 and B into 2 parts. So this is going to be your point 1. You're going to divide 0 and A into 2 parts. So this is going to be point 2. Now between 1 and B, this is going to be 3. On the top, between 2 and A, this is going to be 4. Between 0 and 1, let's mark this point as 5. Between 0 and 2, it's now going to be in the center. It's going to be a little above it. So this is going to be about point 6.
Okay.
Cool.
And
okay.
Hubris shall not attack again.
Now we start, okay? So the Sri Yantra is made of 9 interlocking triangles. Okay, there are a few downward triangles and a few upward triangles, and there are totally 9 triangles, okay? 9 big ones. We're going to draw the first one, which is a downward pointing triangle, and the base of that triangle is going to be at 6. So there's going to be a line which passes through 6 like this. This is the base of the downward triangle. And where will the vertices be? The vertex is going to be right here at the point B. Okay. So you have a nice big downward looking triangle like this. Next is going to be an upward triangle. Okay. So the base of that is going to run through 5. And it's going to join at A. So those are your 2 big interlocking triangles, one upward and downward. Till here, clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the next one is going to be a downward triangle, and the base of that is going to be at 2. So the base is going to come right here. Now where do you fix the vertex? It's going to be at 3. So you start at 3 and you make sure it intersects at this point and joins the base at 2. So it's going to start at 3, intersect at this crossing here, and join at 2. maybe I can give this a different color so that it's easier for you guys to see. 3. I'm going to join in here.
Oh, so it doesn't go right to the corners.
No, it should. The base will be at 2.
But not to the corners of the circle.
No, it doesn't reach the circumference. It's going to be just somewhere here.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is a downward. This is a third triangle which is downward. Now we're going to make the fourth one, which is upward. And the base of that is going to be 1. Okay, so the line is going to come here. And the top, the vertex of it is going to come here. So it's going to start from 4. It's going to pass through this intersection here. So 4 to this, towards the base, which is 1. So somewhere here, maybe. Going to pass through this point and come down to join the base. Ritika, are you good?
I'm good. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to redraw it later on, but at least I've got the concept.
That's okay. Yeah, correct. Okay, so we've done with 4. 3 more to go. I'm going to change the color. I've changed it to blue so that you know which the next one is. Now, the next one would be starting at so it needs to go through. This is a little complicated, so just listen to me, okay? It needs to go through this point here and this point. Okay, this red and black. Okay, these 2 points. And it's going to come somewhere below 0. So it's a downward triangle. So the tip of this triangle is going to come somewhere here. Okay, just below 0. And it's going to pass through this. Okay, pass through these 2 points. And the base is going to be at 4. So somewhere here. Again, this side. You want to do this again?
No, I'm good. This one I got.
Because
I did not go all the way to the corner, so I'm good.
So did you get to pass these 2 points perfectly?
G.
You did? Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
On one side. Not on both sides. On one side, I managed to pass through both the points.
Okay. So a little variation would come, and that's when your, the whole idea of very precise geometry comes into picture. Here we're drawing a very rough hand, so it's not necessary that it needs to go through it properly. It's completely okay. But when you're doing it properly, right, like with proper measurements, this point is going to go in right through it. And there's not going to be any kind of, if you see over here, there's a little imperfection. But if you're doing it properly, it'll go right through.
The question, if I may, is that why is there so much geometry? Is this geometry across Shaivism and Vaishnavism also, or is this geometry very precise for the Sri, for the goddess? Why is there so much geometry?
No, there's geometry everywhere. I mean, the cosmos is a geometric structure, actually, if you look at it. And that's why it's so precise, so everything, and this is just a superimposition of the microcosm and the macrocosm, if you look at it, actually. So that's what they say, this is like the superimposition of the microcosm and the macrocosm. So there is perfection in geometry in everything. In Prakriti, there is geometry perfection, right?
From a leaf.
So
thank you.
And the more precise the geometry is, the better it functions, right? There's least amount of friction involved with things that are perfect in geometry. Okay, so we have done with the 5th triangle now. 6th one, okay. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So it's going to pass through these points now. This one here and this one here. And the base is going to be 3. Okay, so let's see how this is going to join point 6. So 6 is going to be the tip of this triangle, and it's going to pass through this point here, and come down to touch 3. So 6 going to touch this point, and down to 3. So that completes our 6th triangle. It's fine so far?
So far, absolutely fine. And
Perfect.
Thank you for making it easy.
Perfect. Okay, great. Now, so till now, you've been drawing downward triangle and then upward triangle, right? Here, there's going to be a little difference. We're going to be drawing the upward triangle first. Now, how do you do that? We're going to start at this point. You see this point just below 0? There's a tip here.
G.
So the base of this triangle is going to be passing through this tip and it's going to join these big red triangles. Okay, so let me just do this again.
Somebody made a comment just now looking at a 2D version of something which is in 9 dimensions.
I'm very surprised you're getting to read the comments and getting to draw it together. I'm not really focusing on the comments.
No. That comment just caught my eye while I was waiting for you to do the next thing. Okay. I did not read the comments.
All right, okay. So we're going to finish off this triangle now. The tip of this is going to be at 2.
G.
Okay, so 7 triangles are done. We're going to do the same thing. So this is clear till now?
So the tip is at 2 and the bottom is at just below 0, na?
Yeah. There was a point just below 0. Remember, we completed one triangle? Yeah, so the base of that is passing through it.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Now the next one is going to just focus on these points now, okay? This one here and this one, the newly drawn triangle. These 2 points, can you see?
Yeah.
So this one is going to pass through this and it's going to touch the red triangle, the sides of the red triangle like this.
Below 6, halfway between 6 and 0 essentially.
Exactly. So just look at this intersection.
G.
Okay, and it's going to pass through this and touch the sides of these red triangle.
Okay.
And the vertex of this is going to come down right all the way till 1.
Okay.
Okay. So we just have one more triangle left and that completes the Sri Yantra. So till here, good?
Yeah. You don't want to see what my sheet looks like right now, but I mean,
we'll see. We'll see. I'll look at that later. We'll just complete this and we'll get. So now the last one is an inverted triangle. Okay, a downward pointing triangle. It's going to pass through these points now. Can you see this point just around center?
G.
There are 2 intersections here. It's going to touch not the center of these 2, like a damru shaped thing.
G.
It's going to be just below it and it's going to pass through that.
Okay. And the other end is?
Which is the one which is not done yet, 5. So it's going to come down to 5.
That was perfect. It just fits in beautifully.
Amazing. So for me to get this, it took me 100 attempts because I had to figure out how to do it also. And, to find a step-by-step guide was very, very difficult. So many things I had to figure out on my own. Anyway, this completes the inner part of the Sri Yantra, okay, which was the most complicated part. Now around this is something that you can do on your own. There are 2 layers, okay. One is a layer of 8 petals and another is a layer of 16 petals. So we won't look at that now because, I mean, these are things that you can do on your own. So we are finished. Remember I told you there are 3 components to creating a Sri Yantra: the triangle, the circle, and square. Now the square is your outside enclosure. Okay, there are 4 directions. It's supposed to represent the 4 directions. It's called the bhupura. Okay, so the square, I'll just draw that very quickly. Just roughly, just to complete this. So this again, you can just calculate yourself, make sure it's equidistant from all the sides. So that completes the Sri Yantra. Okay, now there are these kind of things which are gateways. It's called a gateway, or no, it's going to look something like this. Just roughly, I'm showing you. Okay. So that completes the Sri Yantra, and we took about 18 minutes to do this, correct? Which is amazing. I'm going to turn the camera around, or if you have any questions at any point, I think we can quickly take questions.
Okay.
If
so, I'm just going to. Okay. Have you turned around as yet?
No. I thought if they had questions, I could show them.
Okay. Fine. I'm going to invite. There's one question which has come in. Let me see if I can take that. No, that's hung. Can you get? I seem to have managed. My computer's hung. It worked beautifully till now, and then now it's. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, how do you treat the yantra? If you don't like, can you recycle it, or would that be disrespectful? This is from Sepia Quill.
So the one you've just drawn now, is that the question?
Well, I mean, I presume she means all the other versions that you've made.
Okay. So what I do is I don't usually throw it out. See, these are not things that you use for worship, because obviously it's not in the most precise way you've drawn it. So I wouldn't throw it also. I have a big bundle of, papers where I have redrawn this several times, and I've just collected and kept it. So I don't intend on throwing it away. Ritika, I think we're having some problem with your video.
Okay. As long as you can hear my voice, I'm okay.
Okay, we can hear you.
So yeah. So the next question.
Don't throw it.
What is the uses of the Sri Yantra?
The uses of Sri Yantra. Okay, so it's basically used for worship. Okay, like I said, it represents the goddess herself. It's Lalita Mahä Tripurasundari. It represents the goddess herself. So there are several ways to worship it, which I won't get into the details of. But one way is to look at each of these triangles. And there's a certain chant associated with it. There's a certain stotram associated with it, that you look at these triangles and recite along. So you're actually trying to invoke the deities which are present in each of these points.
Okay.
There are several ways to worship the Sri Yantra. I mean, there are Abhishekams done, and there are different types of Sri Yantras also. So what we did now is a 2D Yantra that somebody pointed out. There are 3D forms also, which is known as a Meru Yantra, which is a 3D. It's like a step. So that's in 3D format. So there are various types of Sri Yantras also.
Okay. Next question is, can you do it yourself, or do you need a guru to learn to study these yantras?
Preferably with a guru. But what you don't necessarily have to do if at all you want to get into the worship of Devi is you can chant Lalita Sahasranamam. That's what you can do without a guidance of guru, because I was just speaking to somebody, and they said that, the way to approach her is the easiest way without an initiation or a diksha is chanting Lalita Sahasranamam. So you can probably start with that.
Okay. Next question is the yantra a simplified manifestation of the deity or the deity itself?
So I don't know how to answer this question, but for me, I look at it as the deity herself. just like the mantras associated with the Devi, the mantra is the sound, but that sound is also the deity in, herself, the goddess herself. So,
can you put this yantra as a tattoo?
I don't know if I should be answering this, but I wouldn't recommend you to do it because, like I said, how you approach it is very, very important. Just for an aesthetic purpose, you can look at it as art. So this is one reason, even though I've drawn it, and I've created a digital version of it and given a background and stuff. This is not something I sell because, see, I come from a place where I'm not really initiated. I'm sure there are ways to initiate someone to do this or learn it a better way, but because I've not done that. For me, it comes from a space of devotion. So I wouldn't. I'm saying it. I mean, from my side, I wouldn't sell this art. It's not something that I would really sell, put it out there. And many people did ask if if they can have a version of this artwork, and I had to tell them no, because you don't know what it can do to people. These are like powerful energy forms. So this is not something that we want to get into.
How do you energize this?
There are ways to do it. So what we have done is on paper, but people do it on different materials which can retain the energy of the yantra. So copper is one material that people use to create Shri Yantras, where the energy of that is retained in a much, much better way. But there are different concentration techniques for it, which I'm not aware of.
Somebody made a lovely comment. Now let me just find it. Of course, somebody said I'll take screenshots. Please don't worry. We'll put this on our website, on our Instagram pages as well. Somebody said, "Why am I speechless?"
It's just her. I mean, I just leave it to Devi to take care of all these questions. Actually,
if I want to recreate it later, is it important to follow the order in which the triangles were drawn?
Yeah, preferably, because if you saw the order, we drew one triangle, and based on that is how the rest of the triangle progressed, right? So the first triangle is very important, and subsequently the other triangles is based on the first triangle that you draw. So obviously the order is important.
There are a couple of people who are asking the users of the Shri Yantra. I think they can go read that on their own unless you really want to answer that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm seeing the questions too. I don't see any more, really, really important questions.
So, and I'm just going to see if the people who wanted to join in, if I can get them to join, because I can't get me to join.
That's fine, Ritika. It's okay. I think we're past our time also, and we don't want to keep them up for too long.
I know, but people are really excited about this. I mean, okay. People wanted to join. There's Rupali there. She's joined in. Divya was very enthusiastic about this. Aparna from class, again, who is another person who has a deep, deep connection to all this, except hers is in music. So it's really interesting seeing the different ways in which the people around, that we are meeting and that we're forming this little circle with, how there's so much of this energy in this group. So I've been very excited about that. Okay, they've joined, but I don't think they've come up with any questions. So I'm going to leave that. It's 10 o'clock. If at any stage you feel like doing this again, I will be grateful. But at this point, I'm going to let you go with love and light. Thank you so much. Thank
you so much for the opportunity. Really, really. I mean, I never thought. So honestly, if I have to tell you, I'm coming live after a very long time, probably a year and a half. This is not something that I usually do. And I did this only because you were being persuasive. And, I'm so glad I made use of the opportunity. And I know a lot of people were asking me also if if they can learn how to draw. But so I'm glad that it happened today. Thank you so much.
And you saw how fast it happened, right? I mean, there is a certain, you're right, there is an energy to all these things. Otherwise, can you imagine being able to draw Sri Yantra so fast for so many people? It's something which would take a lifetime to do. Thank you so much, Lakshmi.
Thank you, Ritika. Good night.
Folks, please subscribe. There's a lot more of this kind of good stuff on both Lakshmi and my Instagram pages. So, bye. Good night. Thank you.